Welcome, travelling friends of Australia. We are Willem and Anneke, and we hope you enjoy this episode of our podcast,
where we have a chat to other travellers and give them the opportunity to tell their stories and share the tips that they've learned along the way. So we've got Chamonix and Carl with their 4 kids. They're travelling Australia at the moment. I think it's only for a short term, but it's long term because they're away for a few months. And yeah, we're really excited to hear about their stories, all of their travelling stories and how their trip is going so far. Let's talk to Chamonix and Carl.
Hey guys, how's it going?
How you going, guys?
Hi guys,
Good.
Lovely to see you. Nice to see your smiling faces on the other end of the camera.
Yeah, nice to finally meet you guys as well, sort of face to face, isn't it? So the first question we have is, tell us listeners about a bit who is Carl and Chamonix.
Well, we are a conventional yet unconventional family currently traveling for about 4 months around Australia due to COVID. Our plan was to travel aboard, but as many alike, our hand was played for us to do the Aussie Dome. And we set off to do a lap, but we hoped that COVID would clear up as we went, and we almost got there. It's just South Australia that's not playing its part at the moment, so we'll see how it goes for the last stretch. We're about 2/3, 3/4 through.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's been good. It's been interesting, but it's been good.
And we've got a whole tribe of kids who wants to come and say hi to everybody. Oh, this is our youngest little girl. Her name is Capri. Capri, say hi.
Hello.
Yeah. And what's your name, buddy?
Monica.
This is Monaco. He's 7 years old. Bordeaux, come here, buddy. There's another one here. Oh, this is Bordeaux. He's 5 years old.
Hello, Bordeaux.
Say hi.
Hey.
Woof, woof. And then we've got a 3-year-old boy in the car who is just having a snooze. He's afternoon nap. So we're a very not large maybe, but an active young family trying to make our way around Australia and keep sane.
It sounds fun, even with the kids. I think it'll still be fun. Lots of experiences, and I think lots of maybe crazy stories, but fun stories, but just awesome having your family together and being able to experience it all.
Yeah, I think it's a couple of firsts in this podcast. Is you are quite a bigger family than we normally have.
Yeah,
and you're also foreigners. How long have you been in Australia for?
15 years.
Yes.
they're not foreigners anymore.
No.
14, 15. Round it up to 15.
Okay.
But you guys travel the world a lot, hey? Because I've noticed your children's names, and
Explain us a bit about what's going on there.
Tell us about that.
So obviously my name Chamonix is a town in France, and before Monaco was born, who is this chap here, our eldest, we decided to go on a big trip around Europe, and we loved Monaco.
You actually went to Monaco.
Yes, we did. And we just loved the place and we loved the name. So we decided one day, we're fortunate to have a beautiful boy. We'll call him Monaco. And we were blessed a couple of years later, or 1 year later, that we managed to get this beautiful boy. And Bordeaux is a name that we loved as well. So when it was time to choose number 2's name, Bordeaux was pretty much set for us. Everest was a little bit different because he's not a European name, but we just love the idea of what Everest suggests. It's a big mountain and it's, a summit to be achieved. So we love that. And then when we got our last little one, which is a girl, we got stuck.
Yes. We were blown a little bit because we're not expecting a girl. We thought it would be another boy.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's just a little cherry on top.
She is, yes, and she knows that too. They're really good with their little sister, and being in confined spaces like we're in a motorhome, so we're not in a caravan plus a 4x4. We are in small spaces together for long periods of time, and we need to be able to get along and make things work, because if you don't, then it's going to be a very long 4 months.
Yeah, part of the traveling experience, there, isn't it?
So did you rent the motorhome, or is that yours?
Now we've rented it from a company called THL, or probably more known or better known as the Maui or Brits branded motorhomes. So we rented that for 4 months.
And we got a good deal. We paid $15,000 for 4 months, which we think is a really good deal. It's still a lot of money, granted, but we got special from them. I think with COVID, they didn't expect to get many rentals at that point, and didn't expect to get long-term rentals, because we rented it in, was it August, I think, when we organized, July or August, when we
probably about July
when we signed the deal, so to say, with the company. And then 3 months later we left on our trip, and at that point in time things were still really uneasy and uncertain in terms of COVID. People weren't traveling anywhere. In the meantime, it's like things have exploded in terms of caravanning and the number of people going everywhere around Australia. We haven't seen much of COVID happening, to be honest. It's everywhere we've been so far, and we started in Perth and we went up, we went clockwise, so we've gone Broome, Cairns. I can see there's a little doggy. Northern Territory, Cairns, and down that way. Most places have been chock-a-block, most caravan parks. It's been really tricky, I'd say, or we were lucky to find spots in those places for most of them. So COVID has been good, except in the Northern Territory there were a stretch.
Yeah, I would say east from Broome and all the way through the top of the Northern Territory, it has been really quiet. And it's merely because you're not getting that flow of caravans going from east to west over the top, probably at that time of year, and through the winter, which would have been basically at the start of COVID. That's when they would start going. So you could see there was definitely a slowdown in activity.
Well,
but
and
all the way to
the
Broome
borders,
was absolutely chocolate.
because the borders were supposedly closed, but the borders were never closed, and this is what people didn't understand. They're not closed. They were just harder to get through if depending on where you were coming from.
So applications and everything.
Yeah, we didn't have to do
to isolate. That was the big challenge, really.
For
Where
some
would you
people.
isolate?
So when we left WA, we just literally drove over the border, across the border into Northern Territory. No issues, nothing, nada. Nobody pulled us over, nothing. You just kept driving. That's it.
Yeah.
And when we went from Northern Territory into Queensland, there was like a mobile police station van thing that just pulled us over the side of the road, basically, and saying, "Hey guys, so where you going? How was it?"
Pulled out a form and off we went.
Literally, it was an online form. There was nothing.
Took your license
tricky.
basically as a booze bus, just without blowing.
Yeah.
and then we drove off. So there wasn't any issues. And then when we crossed the border from Queensland to New South Wales, which was about a week ago, there wasn't any issues either.
We completely missed it. We went over.
Yeah.
Forgot to take footage. So
you wouldn't even know that you crossed the border, because there's all the border restrictions have been eased between Queensland and New South Wales. So no dramas there. So initially when we started off, we thought that we would be skipping Victoria, because at that stage when we planned to come, Victoria was the only really bad spot, and they weren't, we knew that we'd have to self-isolate at that point in time if we were to return from New South Wales or any other place than Victoria. Or Victoria, but we didn't intend going into Victoria, because it was really a lot of COVID cases at that point. But things have changed so much now that there's no COVID running around anymore. So now it's South Australia, and for us, so now where we were going to go from Queensland and skip potentially New South Wales and Victoria and go straight into South Australia, we're now in New South Wales, and we're strongly heading towards Victoria, and we're probably gonna have to fly out from Melbourne. So we want to do a lap where we start in Perth and end in Perth. But
Okay.
because of the South Australia COVID,
Yeah, we might skip that because if we do that, then we don't have to isolate back.
so if we fly out from Melbourne back to Perth, we don't have to self-isolate for 2 weeks. That's
Okay.
what he's saying. Yeah.
So we headed off with a plan, but it was fairly flexible
Yeah.
plan. We had an idea as
Yeah.
opposed to
I think you kind of
Yeah.
have to when you're traveling the
Black and
country.
Yeah.
down.
And we now sort of know when you started about
And
traveling for 4 months and stuff. But why did you start? So why did you decide to go?
well, we want to do well. First up, I've got long service leave, and with the kids getting into school, Monaco is in year 1. He's the eldest, so that's basically probably the most serious one. So we thought, well, it's
This
probably
chap
the
is in
easiest now.
kindy.
Pulling him out for 1 term. He's in kindy. Pulling him out for 1 term is not going to be dramatic. Everett is going into kindy next year. So if we're back before he starts, perfect. So we thought maybe this is a good time. But we wanted to go in May, maybe 2 months in May, hit Asia, and then 2 months in December. Around about this time, hit like America or Mexico, something like that. But that will flew out of the water, and then we thought, well, let's do the whole lot.
Yeah.
Do a trip, get as far as we can.
And when are you finishing off? Are you going to be home for Christmas?
No, we will be on the road.
Where are you going to spend Christmas then?
We don't know. In the motorhome.
We don't know yet, to be honest. So when we made our plan, obviously we said we're very flexible, but we never said we're going to be here on this date and there on that date. The only things we had was the start and finish dates. And then we said, well, firstly, COVID. You couldn't plan around COVID really. So we had to be flexible because we weren't sure which borders we were going to cross or not cross, or whether we'd have to self-isolate. But the one thing that we did do is when we planned, we started off at 2 days before the September school holidays last year. Sorry, not last year. This year.
We're not there yet.
We're almost next year. And we knew that everybody wanted to go camping and go on holidays in Perth as well. So we were heading towards Galbari, Monkey Maya, Exmouth, those spots.
Coral Bay.
And we decided that we were going to book at least the first 10 nights somewhere,
to get a spot.
just so that we had somewhere to stay for the night, because it was our first few days in a motorhome. We didn't know how we were going to go. So we decided, we'll book 10 nights, the first 10 nights. And then from there on, when we got closer to Broome, we were happy to then ride the wave out and see how it goes.
And also by then we would have had an idea of how well we travel, how far can we go in a day with the kids or not. But we did that first section fairly quick.
We wanted to get to the border
through and get to the Queensland coast was our main initially, without doing it too silly.
We like the tropical weather, and it was still coolish in Perth, so we wanted to get to warm spaces.
Yes.
The thing is, traveling with children our age, you can't, we like the idea of world schooling. We're not the kind of parents who want to do homeschooling, copying a curriculum that's delivered at school to our children when we deliver it. We're not into that. If we were going to do something, it would have to be where it's the travels in the world that teaches our children as we go along.
What they see, what questions they ask, that leads to the next one and to the next one.
But that said, they are still really young, and at this age, they could not care less on whether they are in Melbourne or in Sydney or going to a museum or seeing 600,000 pelicans, or, it's just their interest is swimming, playing, scooters, riding bikes, and being children, like being young kids.
Yeah.
That's what they want to do. They want to see other kids sometimes play with other friends, which has been amazing for caravan parks. You won't be able to do this if you're in an Airbnb or in hotels. It's not the same. So even though you might think caravanning might be for people, I don't know, of a different kind of social stature, I don't know, there might be that idea
age
out,
group
or age group or whatever it is. For us, one of the greatest advantages of going to caravan parks are the fact that our children, the kids, on the jumping pillow, in the swimming pool, just around the outside where you parked for the night. If you're hanging outside and waiting for breakfast or whatever, there are always other kids around, and they love that.
Yes.
That's what makes them interested. Not looking out the window on the so many beach that we're driving past, or mountains, like they're just too young.
Yes.
Maybe older kids, maybe later in primary school, it would be different. But so we've had to plan our trip around that a lot, because for us, we wanted to have our kids happy as well as for us to be able to see Australia.
So on one side, it made it easier for us because it was fairly simple planning that way. Because it's a little bit repetitive from our point of view. It's a little bit repetitive from their point of view. It's great. And on the other side, it's been a little bit difficult because things that we wanted to do and see, we might have to skip and not do, just because they won't find the value in it at this stage. That was the one side. On the other side, we didn't come with 4x4. So a lot of the places that we really want to go to, we couldn't in any case, whether we were just two of us or 6 of us.
And that was a difficult decision for us to make before we left off, when we started planning our trip around Australia. Is, do you do a motorhome? Do you do a 4x4 in a caravan? Do you do you would know, because you guys are in the middle of planning as well. There are so many options that you can do, so many different ways that you could do it. We don't have a 4x4 back in Perth. We have an SUV, but it's not a 4x4. And so for us, we thought if it's a 2x4, we weren't going to sell our car and buy a new one. It's just a 4-month thing for us. So we thought if we were going to go with a 2x4, we might as well have a motorhome, because we can go in the same, we can't go anywhere differently with a car and a caravan than with a motorhome, which is a 2x4, because you're not allowed to go on gravel dirt roads with a motorhome, obviously. I think they allow us 12 k's one way.
It's fine.
Okay.
On dirt roads.
So we could have pulled a caravan, but we still would not have been able to do the 4x4 area. So it's sort of pointless to do it that way. And your setup, pack up is a little bit quicker with a caravan, we thought, and especially since we wanted to travel certain sections very fast. I mean, I don't think it's viable to do a one-night stop regularly with a caravan setup. Some people might, but I think it's a bit of a hassle. It would depend on your crew as well. If the crew is a little bit older and they can help out,
I just wanted to say,
yeah, that's different.
With 4 young kids, it's just a mission, doing your day-to-day routine with them. Not even to mention traveling such distances. So we've not been on holiday, putting our feet up, lying next to the swimming pool every day.
I've been on leave, but not on holiday.
We need a holiday after this.
But it's probably better than having your leave at home.
Yeah, no, definitely is, because then you'll just get stuck in stuff that sort of expected to do.
Yeah.
But it's good. It's still holiday. It still gets your mind off the normal day today, which is great, which is sort of a holiday in the first place.
Yeah, no, but that's what we said.
We've been busy.
But that's what we set out to do. We didn't set out to go and lie next to the beach or next to the swimming pool. Otherwise, we could have stayed in Perth for 4 months in a hotel or something. It's different. We wanted to spend this time with our children to try and...
We'll get there. We'll get there. At some point, they'll be old enough to play in the pool by themselves and watch from the side. We're not there yet.
Or they just stay at home and you go to the hotel by yourselves.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's talk about the things that you sort of did enjoy then. Any favorite destinations that you've seen so far, or places that you're still planning on going seeing?
Plenty. Look, we've seen sort of the west coast of WA before, so obviously there's very good spots there. Monkey Mia, and then the reef at Exmouth is something special to see and experience. We sort of just skip by those, but stopped at some very interesting places along the way. A few stations where we stopped. But to answer your question, Broome, very good.
We love Broome.
Surprise. Broome was very nice.
Yeah.
Then Cairns, Airlie Beach, Hamilton Island.
Yeah, I agree. I love
that.
Cairns.
Was good.
Oh.
Yeppoon, Great Keppel Island. That is very special too.
We wanted to go to the islands in the Great Barrier Reef. That was a big thing for us on our list, wish list. So we made an effort to go. It's very expensive. You can do cheaper versions, I guess, of things, but we wanted to go to Hamilton Island and stay a few nights on the actual island. So we just left our motorhome in the parking lot of the ferry company, and we stayed for 3 nights in an apartment there. It's like Airbnb options. You don't have to stay in a hotel there. You can book Airbnbs, which was great.
Yeah, I'll highly recommend that. Even if you travel like us, and you will find places where you can park your caravan for a few days and just hop on the ferry and go and do that. That's definitely.
And we sort of okay. And then the other thing we did was really spectacular. Was we rented a catamaran. Yeah. So for a couple of nights we didn't skipper it ourselves. It was actually through Airbnb that we found the cat. And we booked it, and it's a private guy who rents out his cat, and then he provides the skipper as well. So they skip you to the island, Great Keppel Island.
Anchor you down, and then he gets off.
Yeah, or it takes you snorkeling around the island where you want to go with your boat for however many nights you want to have the boat for, and then you just drop him off with your little tinny or whatever it is, what they call that small, to the beach, and then he makes his own way wherever he goes, and then
just grabs the ferry back,
and then he come and pick you up whenever you want to go back, and then he sails you back to the mainland. And it's been to wake up on a boat and all you see around yourself is that turquoise water, and the tropical fishes literally there right around you. Is an incredible experience. The only thing I wanted to do all the time was just jump into the water off the boat, like it's like a magnet. So that was really special for us. How we justify doing that in a way is we said we'll try and free camp as much as we can. So we use Wikicamp, as you would know. We also bought the book Camps Australia Wide, which I have to be honest, we've hardly used. We thought we would be using it a lot more. We've hardly used it.
We've mainly used that to see where the roads were sealed or gravel.
Because for us, that's an issue. We're not allowed to go on gravel roads. And in Australia, you never know. You might be driving on a what you call this bitumen road with one moment, and the next moment it's like gravel. It's like what? You can't see that on Google Maps. It doesn't show that. So
or it's a double lane. All of a sudden it's a single lane road. A few kilometers.
Both ways, both directions, one lane road. It's weird. So then they call it developmental roads. So, and you might know this, but for us it was something totally new. So you drive on the double road, like one this way, one that way, and then as soon as the road becomes one lane, you just drive whichever direction until there might be somebody coming from the front, and then you both go one wheel on the bitumen, one wheel on the gravel, and then if you pass, and then you go.
Unless it's a truck, get out of the way.
And lots of trucks on the road, lots and lots and lots of trucks. So between Broome and Cairns, the most traffic that we saw were trucks. Very little caravans, but before Broome, almost all that we saw were caravans.
Then to continue with your question, if you travel south from Cairns, we stopped at quite a few of the swim pool boulders places. I can't remember all their names, but they were
Babinda Boulders. Were you there?
We were there. We were at Jacqueline Falls.
All around Cairns, so that was one of the other things we really wanted to do, is go to the inland water pools, not just the beaches. We wanted to see the freshwater, spring water kind of lakes and swimming holes. Sorry, yes, the Afrikaans coming through here.
Northern Territory Mataranka was special like that too, because that was a hot water spring.
That's very cool. That's weird. That's like something really that's unexpected, really in the middle of nowhere.
/ weird experience, but that is very good. If you pass by, they go there.
Well, you will pass by there if you're driving from WA to Queensland,
you basically
and you
go
have to go on a bitumen road, then you will go past there because there's no other way.
Yeah.
So we did not go around the top of the Northern Territory. We had to go down the middle because of the fact that we had to stick with bitumen roads.
Yeah.
And if we wanted to go up the top, we couldn't. You need a 4x4 to go on certain stretches of those, which we were sad about because we really wanted to go and see those spots up there. But anyway, we didn't. So our favorites are Broome, Cairns, Airlie Beach / Hamilton Island, Yeppoon / Great Keppel Island, Noosa, Byron Bay. And we're now just at the beginning of New South Wales, so we can't say much further from what's at the bottom.
Yeah, there's still more to come up.
Oh, it's beautiful here. You guys must be so excited for your own trip.
Oh, we are.
We
We
are,
hear
yeah.
about all these stories and places people been. We know like lots of places now, but it's like writing down all the places we're going to need like years to actually see it all.
Yeah, and then I have to sort of tick stuff off what you can't fit in because you only have that much time.
Yeah. And the things we do like as well is the tips and tricks. So do you have any tips and tricks or things that you've noticed once you started, or
maybe with your kids, because having
oh yeah,
kids, you would have maybe
definitely.
lots of tips.
When it comes into packing, if you think you might use something, leave it. It takes up space, and especially if you have sort of multiple things that fits in one place, depending on which one you're using at the time.
Yep.
If you don't use that thing, you continuously have to move it this way and that way, this way and that way. You realize that you didn't have to bring this thing to move it around all the time. Yeah. That's one.
The other thing is we've always been light travelers anyway. So with our children, we only packed each of them this deep and this big. That's it. And all of their clothes fit into that.
Wow.
4 kids, it's 4 boxes, but it's like this much. That's it.
And the thing is, traveling around Australia, you're outdoors most of the time.
And it's summer. It's warm.
It's dusty. It's red dirt. The clothes don't last. But as you know, every town you drive into, there's most likely to be either a Kmart or a Big W or a Target. And you just throw away what's not usable anymore.
Yeah, after you've washed it and it doesn't come clean, of course. So we wash about every 3 days. And that's the nice thing about caravan parks, obviously, is we just know as soon as we stop, first thing we got to do is put in a load of washing because it needs some time to dry. We don't like to put it in the dryer, so put the washing in and let it dry. And then by the next morning when it's time to go, things have dried up. So we're usually good in that sense. But so packing light. We have 1 box of toys for the kids, 1 for all 4 kids. The box is just a plastic crate about this wide and this deep. 1 plastic crate. All the toys. We told kids before we left, I have to choose. It's got to fit in here. If it doesn't fit, it's not going.
And I'm going to crate for shoes.
And 1 crate for everybody's shoes.
So basically 2 pairs for everybody.
Yeah, 1 pair of
toes and a pair
sandals
of
and a pair of trainers or whatever it is. Closed toes and open toes.
Yeah.
Then I would have a plan, but be flexible.
Yeah.
If you don't have a sort of an idea of where you want to be when, as you know, you've got so many places on your list, plot them out, and then stay longer. If a place is not as what you expected it to be, move on. Well, you only have that much time. No point staying in a place that you're not really enjoying all that much just because somebody else enjoyed it.
Exactly.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And then some other tips we have little bits and pieces. We brought along in the car or in the motorhome. Kids need to have stuff to keep them busy. That's been a big thing for us. We were really concerned before we left that our little girl, that was the biggest concern for us. She would be a terror when we're driving, because whenever we'd get in the car in Perth, she would be crying. She hated it. And she's been absolutely the opposite.
She's been a breeze.
She's been a breeze. She's been so good. We think it's a way the motorhome seating is set up. I think that helps because the seating is toward each other. So the 4 of them face each other. So we think that makes a difference as well. And then we bought at IKEA yeah, just these little plastic trays that fit on their laps, so they can put a little bowl or an iPad or a writing pad and their pens or something. They can write. It's like a little desk on their laps, and that helps a lot. And
yeah, so something to entertain the kids with.
yeah,
but it might either be whatever they're into at the time.
Yeah, but
so if
things
it's coloring in, if it's writing, if it's an iPad, whatever, and then snacks, and try to do healthy snacks. Otherwise, it's
so our boys are into Beyblades, at least two of them, and then this little 1-year-old girl is also starting to like the Beyblades. So they have a little Beyblade stadium that they can put. There's a table between them when they're sitting, which is really handy as well. They can put the Beyblade stadium on there, and they can sort of play Beyblades as well while we're traveling. So that helps.
Yeah.
But as little as possible stuff. And then another thing is take bikes. That would be my suggestion if you've got little kids.
If you have space to take the bikes, take the bikes. We've got one bike and we've got
6 scooters.
6 scooters. Scooters are great if you're in a proper big caravan park. I would say sort of your big town caravan parks.
With bitumen roads.
Where the roads are sealed, but otherwise it's basically all just gravel and sand. No good for scooters. And then it's like, I want to go on the bike, I want to go. You can take the bike, take the bikes.
The problem with our motorhome is it doesn't have a bike rack at the back of the vehicle. So we have to put the bike inside the car, which is annoying because it stands in the passageway or it's on the bed or somewhere, so we have to keep moving the bike out of the way. But the bike has been really good because it can go on all terrains. It can go on the bitumen and on the gravel and on the wherever the kids can ride bikes. And,
what else would you reckon
in terms of tips?
Chargers and enough cables to charge everything at the same time
for electronics.
Plan so you can set up a sort of a charging table. When you're in a campsite where you have power it up so you can charge everything in one go. So have multiple USB plugins and cables, because you might experience the same as us, because we do record all our stuff. So we have cameras, we have the GoPro, we have phones.
We have our own YouTube channel, so we're making
iPads,
videos all the time.
Laptops, you name it. Everything needs charging. We have a drone. Everything needs charging.
And 4 iPads, of course, for the little kids. Mobile phones, and the list doesn't stop. Lots of charging options. And as soon as you stop wherever it is, and if you're plugging into a caravan park, put on make it as part of your ritual. You stop, fill up the water tank, because you never know when you might need it. Fill up the water tank, charge it, put everything on charger, go to the laundry, throw the stuff in the laundry, and then you start relaxing and Otherwise, when you realize you've got to do those things, it's too late, and then you're moving on again, and then it's like, why didn't we do that? And the other thing that you said as well would be good is to keep a routine, which is what we're trying to do. We generally try to keep fit and healthy. So, when we were doing our normal day-to-day job, we'd exercise every day. We have some kind of routine, morning routine, rituals, things that you do, your kind of breakfast that you eat, whatever. So we try to not eat out as much as people would normally do. I think when you're on a holiday, we try and eat in as often as possible, because for us, our health is extremely important, and we exercise as much as we can. If that means we have to get up earlier in the morning to get it done because of our kids, as soon as our kids wake up, things get much harder, then that's what we do. So often we'll get up at 5:30 in the morning. We brought our exercise mats with us, so just little yoga mats, which has been really good. So that's another tip. They go just on the bed away, and then wherever you stop, even free camps next to the road, we've taken them out, we roll them out on the gravel, and then you have your little space where you can do some form of exercise. You don't need much. You can just, by doing sit-ups and push-ups and squats and whatever, you don't need more than a square meter around you. So that's been really important for us to keep our sanity.
Yeah, have a routine, but it will largely depend on your setup, and then be flexible about it. Some days you're able to do it 3-4 days in a row the same, and then the next day, depending on whatever, you might not, and it's fine.
Yeah.
But we don't have a holiday mindset in that sense. We just, to us, that's part of our life every day, whether we're on holiday or not. We don't stop doing those things, because if you start getting sick, if you start feeling sluggish. Oh, and the other thing is, goodness, if you want to have a motorhome, make sure you are almost fit and in shape, because it's small, the spaces are very tight. You got to really squeeze past each other when you're in, I don't know, caravans might be the same setup, but it's if you're of a different build and if you're not able to climb up onto things and climb down, you'll find it hard to be in a motorhome, especially, we've got kids sleeping at the top, so we have that little ladder that we climb up and down. Even our bed is not set up like a normal double bed where you walk around, and it's a bed you climb into and you climb out of.
Climb over.
So it's a lot of climbing up and down into things and squeezing past, and even the shower. We very seldom actually use our shower on board. We have a shower on board, but we mostly use the caravan parks. We use it for storage.
Yeah. So you spoke about your YouTube channel. Sorry.
No, I just want to say the toilet on board is absolutely amazing. That's been a lifesaver.
That is great.
If you have 6 people, everybody have,
and especially small ones, it goes regularly.
Yeah,
as you would know. You can just pull off the road. And they can go. You don't have to pull off the road. Get out, get in the back in the caravan, get out, come back, or look for a rest station where there's facilities. You can just pull off, leave the car running. You can even keep sitting if they're big enough. They go, they get back in.
And you keep driving again.
Buckle up, off you go.
So that saved a lot of time. Yeah. If we had to wait for a rest stop or look for it, we'd still be in WA.
That's one thing we want in our caravan, is to make sure that there's a proper bathroom there for us and the kids to use.
Yeah. They're still small. 2 and 3. The smallest one is it's almost off his nappies.
Yeah, he's only sleeping in his nappies.
Yeah. So, but he goes every hour.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah, they do. And so they should.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. If you have little kids, you still have your child seats that they got to ride in. So that's another bit of experience. But obviously we knew this when we started off, is that where we have a 6-berth motorhome, which means that there are 3 double beds, we technically can't use the 1 double bed ever, because the kids' seats are permanently fixed to that space. And so we can't you can take the seats out.
Unless you're eager enough to take all the seats out every day.
Every day, yeah.
Every morning.
No.
Enough scooters and bikes and guitars and whatever to move around every day.
So we gradually started getting mentally ready to live in smaller spaces before we left. So all our kids slept in one room. And because we like them sleeping in one room and sharing, they've got bunk beds. It's a big room, but still, we've started getting used to smaller confined spaces and sharing things and sharing wardrobes and things. So when we left, it wasn't a shock for the kids to go from all this space to suddenly nothing.
That's clever.
To answer your question in terms of socials, yes. So we do have a YouTube channel, and people can find us at Chamonix TV. So that's CHAMONIX TV. So we're calling our trip 100 sunsets around Australia in 100 days. And we have literally, to this point, 70 sunsets up until now. So we've got another 30 to go. And we've got about a quarter of our trip left. So there's no problem in terms of getting it. We've got about 15 days extra that we gave ourselves. So we're on the road for 115 days, but we're saying 100 sunsets for those in case days where we didn't manage to get a sunset,
or we didn't get a sunset, or we might be 3-4 days at the same spot, not going anywhere, not doing much other than what we did the day before. So then it'll be boring, just having same spot, same activity, 3 days in a row. We'll lose.
So we've published 3 or 4 sunsets by now, 3 sunsets, and it's been hard to edit on the road. No surprise. I know editing.
That's
and
another tip.
What?
Sorry for interrupting.
That's okay.
Reception.
Yeah.
Mobile/internet reception. As soon as you move out of WA, then your signal move away. No reception.
Yeah.
Unless you are in a town or at a roadhouse. Nothing.
We thought the reception would be worst in WA, but it's been the best so far.
Northern Territory, nada.
Go WA.
No.
Roadhouse, yes. 200 meters past the roadhouse, gone.
Oh, wow.
And even the whole western part of Queensland until we sort of got close to Cairns.
But even on the coast, in between towns here on the east coast, you like now we were just driving. We were near Newcastle. We were driving from whatever the town before Newcastle was, Newcastle, and then there are spots where there's no, and we're on the main road, and then there's nothing. It's like, really?
Wow.
Are you serious? The 21st century, we're in east coast of Australia, and there's no reception. So for us, that's been a shock.
So be aware of that, and if you need reception, be aware of that, because that has been we didn't think it was going to be that.
So one of our things that's made it harder for us is we have a DJI Osmo that we use on our mobile phone to take our footage with, on mobile phones, because the mobile phones are incredibly great quality, perfect, no issues. The best camera is the camera you have on you. Okay. So the first stretch we did a lot of footage on the cameras, and then on the phones, the phone cameras, and then we started trying to download the footage, because what happens is it keeps it on the phone, then it sends it to the cloud, and then you got to try and get it from your phone to the computer. And that's a nightmare. It's an absolute nightmare.
Yes.
Well, even just from your phone to the computer, even trying, because now what we're trying to do now is to airdrop. We're trying to airdrop our phone footage to the laptop, but even that it's a pain. So if you want to do footage, I'd suggest grab a GoPro or something with an SD card that you can take out and you can put into the device, and you just download it all to your computer immediately. So that has made things harder for us to edit. And the other thing is also with Premiere Pro, when you're editing, I didn't realize this, but you actually need to be logged into Premiere Pro, and sometimes it pops you out. So at times when I was, I'm ready to go, I've got all my external hard drives with my footage on, I'm now going to sit here and edit because there's nothing else to do or whatever it might be. I can't log into Premiere Pro because
once you're in, it was fine. Then you can go outside the reception area.
Yeah,
once you're in, but to get in, you need to have reception.
Sometimes you try to get back into the editing program, and then it for some reason logged you out, and because you don't have reception, you can't log back in, so you can't edit. So there's like a couple of days going by that you can't do any editing work, things like that. So it's made editing has been really hard. Obviously taking videos, different angles, if you want to do a good quality thing, because we really try to go out of our way to get good B-roll, A-roll, B-roll, all those kinds of shots. It takes time. Everything takes much longer. If you just want to go for a bike ride, everything takes 4 times as long if you want to take footage.
We don't do this every day. So you forget, why didn't we do B-roll of that? That would have been great. Oh, we missed that.
Yeah.
So for us, it's important to try and make as editing and photography videos quality wise as we can, but on the other hand, we're also moving a lot and have 4 kids, and we need to have reality in check. So getting that balance right is hard, and it's just we're just very glad that we're doing that, because everything starts getting a blur a lot of the times when you're not taking footage, because you're so spoiled. You see so many new places all the time that you start forgetting what each place looked like. So the thing with the videos is, even we're making it for other people to be able to almost go on with us. We want to share, we want to be authentic, and we share the highs and the lows and everything, and the kids falling and the whatever it is. We're like authentic.
Yeah, and at the same time, it's sort of for ourselves too.
For ourselves to be able to look back.
I mean, she won't remember nothing about the strip.
Yeah.
I don't think. Yeah. Now we can show her that she was singing on camera.
Yeah. She did her first podcast.
It'll be the same for you guys when you go on your trip. The 3-year-old might remember small snippets, but in 5 or 10 years' time, they'll be able to look back and say, "Oh, there I was.
Yeah.
And I was there and there
Yeah,
in this place.
100%.
I've been there,
Yeah.
I've been there and there, and sort of have an idea what it looks like."
Oh, another tip that I'm just thinking, we've made effort of chatting to other people as we go along, who we can see have been on the road for a while as well, and they always come up with their best places to go to, and we found that really fascinating. So we'll just say to people, so what's your best 2 or 3 spots like down the New South Wales coast, and then
Well,
they'll
we're
give it
going
to
in
you.
that
And,
direction. What do you recommend for the next few days?
and that's lovely. We took that on board, and then we go there.
Yeah, we've met quite a few older couples, which is just traveling as
The
couples.
grey nomads.
And they've been fabulous.
No,
Really.
we love them.
Yeah. Traveling community is so great, isn't it?
But it's been great. It's been an absolute privilege, an incredible experience to go through. The time that we're spending with our children are something that you'd never be able to get back in time. Even if we were to stay at home just with the kids, it would not have been the same.
No.
We're all forced into situations often where we have to really think on our feet. We have to stand together as a team. Circumstances where the other day when we were at Great Gibble Island, Monaco was on the SUP. He was doing his own thing on the SUP. I was on a SUP with Bordeaux, and Carl was on the little boat. And then suddenly the weather changed really bad and the wind started blowing. And Monaco, I mean, he can swim, but he's only 7. And we just had to, you just got to start acting together, realizing you're in a situation where you got to think on your feet and everybody got to pull their heads in. And how the kids just learn to deal with risky situations. And I say risky, but you know what I mean.
Their maturity just so much.
Not in danger. He was on top of the board. I mean, he was fine. He just couldn't go in the direction which he intended to.
Yeah.
He was drifting aside with the wind and couldn't get out to
But then
the closest line to the beach as opposed to the longest line to the beach.
So the kids are
I
learning.
just grabbed him.
The kids are learning to deal with situations which they normally would not have been in had we stayed at home. We like to keep our kids' freedom, so we don't keep them fenced in all the time. In fact, we are happy for them to wander around, go around in caravan parks when we're there to explore and be children and find and figure out life as we go. Fall down and realize, that had hurt. And next time I'm going to try and do it differently, as opposed to us just saying, don't jump off, don't do this, don't do that. And then the kid never falls down and then they never learn that way. So the learning for the children have been tremendous, even though it's not traditional school work learning. It's not the textbook thing that how many wars were there in us or whatever it is. Nothing like that. Life experience. Just the time together for me has been tremendous. It's just nothing, no money can buy that.
No.
So it's very special. So if you're thinking of traveling, that was one of the questions that you guys had.
Yes.
If we, what advice would we give to other families? I think sooner rather than later. Even though our children are not old enough to remember every city and capital city and whatever the rest, that doesn't matter. It's the life experience that goes along with it. And there's never going to be a perfect time, to be honest. You'll never be perfectly rich enough or this, or you just gotta pick a date essentially and make it happen and just go.
Oh, that's amazing. We thank you guys so much for stopping.
Next to the sharing road, all your stories.
And sharing your stories and your love for what you're doing. And giving, I think there was awesome tips in there for families especially. Definitely. So I'm pretty sure the listeners will enjoy this podcast, and we'll leave you to get to your next destination, which sounds awesome as well, and can't wait to see the rest of it.
Thank you. Monica know how to say the like and subscribe it. Can you tell all the viewers that they need to like and subscribe? Yes, please tell all the viewers channel, they need Traveling Friends of Australia YouTube channel.
Yes, they do. Have to like and subscribe.
And what do they have to do as well? They have to comment below, eh?
What to comment?
I don't know. You can think about anything. Comment below if you like the video.
Monica was awesome. Comment below. Monica was awesome.
If you have a question.
Yes, that's a good one.
If you have a question, you just...